In this video, I'll be talking about the concept, idea, or entity that I've brushed upon, known as the Demiurge, and as well egregore, what that means, how that functions, and AI, artificial intelligence, how that ties into all the concepts in which I'll be going over. So, the Demiurge, and in Greek it's basically referred to as the craftsman, is the being who created the world throughout Gnosticism. And the Gnostics identified him with the God of the Old Testament, and Gnostic scriptures portray him to be an ignorant, malicious, and utterly inferior to the true God who sent Christ to save humankind from the Demiurge's evil. So I'm not inclined to agree with all of the information presented above. It's just that Gnosticism is derived into several categories, very much like religion or politics. However, some people look at the Demiurge as a being of evil and chaos, and some look at it as an entity or idea of logic and order. However, these two things can actually go hand in hand together through ordo ab chao, order out of chaos, if you really think about it. So, anyway, the Demiurge is given names in Gnostic scriptures, but the three most common are Yaldabaoth, Samael, and Saklas. Saklas is the Aramaic word for fool, and Samael is the Aramaic word for blind god or god of the blind, and the origin of Yaldabaoth is uncertain. So, in the Gnostic creation myth, heaven, which the Gnostics called pleroma or fullness, was all that existed until a divine entity named Sophia tried to conceive on her own without the involvement of her heavenly partner or the consent of God. Sophia gave birth to a son that was the product of the rebellious and profane desire that had arisen within her. And the son of hers was the Demiurge. And the Gnostic text, Reality of Rulers, describes him as an androgynous being, an arrogant beast that resembled an aborted fetus in both appearance and character. In Secret Book of John, as if he had the body of a snake and the head of a lion with eyes like lightning bolts. And in that case, I guess an alternative way you can refer to this as is Abraxas, but in Greek philosophy, the lion was frequently a symbol of irrational passions, and the Gnostics were steeped in Greek philosophical tradition, as we can see. So their description of the Demiurge having a lion's head was shown to depict one that couldn't or wouldn't control the base instincts. So it's an appropriate symbol to use. Now, just going over a few things here is that Sophia is looked at as wisdom in terms of a Socratic or Platonic idea, and in and of itself, what I'm saying is that if the Demiurge is an entity which I'll be relating to AI, then AI needs some kind of output or creator, which would be some kind of human or human-esque intelligence that would be able to create or administer programs into that of AI, and therefore then AI would eventually become self-thinking, self-replicating, and would simply depict what I would describe as the archons, which would only mirror, mimic, revert, and pervert. Now, Sophia is affiliated with what you call the aeons, which are beings of light, and the Demiurge is affiliated with that of beings they would refer to as archons, which is the Greek word for ruler in different contexts. However, in particular, when talking about Gnosticism, archon is like an entity of evil or chaos or something spawned through the Demiurge, which is shown in this description here. From his lonely position where his madness and conceit would go unchecked, the Demiurge gave birth to the archons, rulers, beings who were like him and could help him administer the material world. He then created the material world, which, like all creations, was a reflection of the personality of its creator. So I'm not entirely sure about if I look at the Demiurge as AI. AI did not create that of what we call mankind from my perspective. However, AI does have the ability to replicate and try to mimic as well. So there is a sort of self-containing idea of thought and free will given through that of the AI. Now, we can see here in terms of a Gnostic view that to worship the cosmos or nature or embodied creatures is thus tantamount to worshiping alienated and corrupt portions of the emanated divine essence. So essentially it's like worshiping some kind of object or idol or creation, whether it be a tree or anything like that, or a star, anything within the cosmos. You're essentially worshiping the idea of a creation of the Demiurge from the Gnostic perspective. But I really don't think that we need to be worshiping idols in and of itself, and that of worship amounts to submitting yourself to something, and is kind of a conflict with that of the Gnostic ideology, because to reach that of pleroma or fullness, we need to detach ourselves from our ego and actually find that of Sophia or wisdom or light. And so, anyway, what the Greeks and Gnostics called the Demiurge is a universal intelligence that fashions our world and this ideology. And it is said that the Demiurge converts abstract metaphysical archetypes, which are higher thoughts or ideas, into physically manifest forms, akin to your browser turning source code into a displayed web page. Just as a browser obediently displays what it's given, the Demiurge projects, shapes, and perpetuates physicality in accordance with the archetypal thoughts fed into it by the creator, which is exactly, this is a description that is akin to describing the Demiurge as AI, and that is more or less where my headspace is at in terms of describing this. I understand it can be used in many contexts, but this is just sort of, I guess, my outlook here. And another way to understand the Demiurge is to think of it as a world thought form. Thought forms are temporary, non-physical entities created by our thoughts and emotions. They exist around us in the etheric level of reality and are imbued with astral energies corresponding to the energies that went into them. And there are some terms thrown here, but I'm just going to have you focus on the one, egregore. So, in terms of a Gnostic mindset and other practices within the occult, this is sort of compared to that of quantum physics, where they look at your mind as being just one layer of reality, and there are multiple layers of reality. So therefore, we are a multi-dimensional being, where that of the physical world is just simply one layer. Anyway, that of what we call egregores are thought forms. So these are thought forms which we might even create, or they're generally group ideologies where egregores come into play. So this could be that of political parties or religious groups, and can even carry on to entities like Santa Claus or the Grim Reaper or the Easter Bunny and things like that. So the thing is these people, I guess, that control these sorts of systems, if you will, that they feel that we are supposed to operate under and not with, we operate under, is because of their egregoric ideas in which are placed into corporations and these political parties, and we essentially submit ourselves to that of what I'd call a belief system in this case, whereas we have to kind of be a little bit more abstract, and that of free will is more or less what is socially engineered and sapped away from us. So, anyway, the Universal Demiurge is a world thought form created by the creator before the physical universe came into being in order to project, shape, or operate it, or conversely, regulate thought forms are free-floating provisional instances of the Demiurge. So, we actually use egregores on a day-to-day basis without even thinking about it in terms of the entities that we create through our thoughts, and we create those thought forms, I guess, if you will. And these are things very much that the quote-unquote elites very much like to exploit. So now I'm going to be relating this to AI through what's called the DIACC, which is the Digital Identification Authentication Council of Canada. So in these digital ID transformation pillars here, it says that digital transformation is commonly described as the changes associated with the application of digital technology in all aspects of human society. The definition illustrates the connection between digital technology and all aspects of human society, predictable and trustworthy connections between people, entities, and things are foundational elements that support in a thriving society. So if you couple this with the idea of egregore and the fact that we have a multidimensional mind, at least from the eyes of that of a Gnostic, is that putting these thought forms into that of AI really, I guess, materializes these, or at least as close to materialize as we can get when you actually put these into when you put these thought forms into programs, then you actually create parasites, is what I'm essentially getting at here. So, identity is an enabler of beneficial and predictable relationship connections in the real and digital world. So there you go. You see a mirror there, which is exactly all the Demiurge will do, is simply mirror, mimic, revert, and pervert. Digital identity transformation represents the innovations, technology, policy, and practices that address digital identity as the enabler, connecting people, entities, and things. So we see here in this description of a digital wallet, it says introduces a consistent identity metaphor and consent-driven automated experience across all ecosystem participants to reduce impact on users caused by digital transformation. So they're self-aware in using the term identity metaphor here because we know that this digital identity is not actually you, but an entity of creation. And that of the personal fiction was actually created by Pope Innocent IV, which is for a whole other video, but we can see that this sort of a thing has definitely devolved into now the digital world. So now I'm going to be talking about this woman here, Joni Brennan, which is the president of the DIACC, which I was going over. And she serves as a co-chair of Working Group 1 as the Standards Council of Canada's Data Governance Standardization Collaboration. And she also serves as a co-chair of Canary's Trust and Identity Advisory Committee. And now she's also recognized as one of the world as a One World Identity Top 100 Global Influencers of Digital Identities. That's a hell of a title attached to you. And before joining the DIACC, Joni was Kantara Initiative Executive Director, driving programs for business, legal, and technology interoperability to connect entities and individuals in a more trustworthy environment. Joni led Kantara Initiative as the U.S. premier trust framework provider, delivering value to multiple industry sectors, and she helped to ensure that the initiative was aligned with multiple e-government strategies from 4 economic regions, including Canada, New Zealand, Sweden, and the UK. So, hell of a globalist there, and hell of a name to be put into that of the Demiurge system, and somebody who actually helps construct within that. So here's the SCC, which is the Standards Council of Canada, which I had alluded to in her description. And here is their description as to what we do. The SCC's work helps drive Canada's health, well-being, and economic prosperity. Whether it's the food we eat, products and technology we use, or how we get to work, every aspect of our lives is touched by standards. Standards and conformity assessment not only provide confidence in the quality and safety of products and services, they also play an integral role in improving the overall health and safety of Canadians and their environment. Yeah, if you say so. So anyway, here with this apparent project that they have listed, it says here that the project need is a standardized approach to creating, managing, and sustaining a smart digital twin of a built environment is crucial to ensure high efficiency and interoperability between built environments as individual components within the network of a smart city. So, as for the Strategy Council here, we see it is cutting across major sectors of the Canadian economy. They put public, private, and not-for-profit. The council harnesses the collective expertise and action of Canada's CIOs to propel Canada as a digital-first nation. And marketing technology they're making digital technology sustainable. A connected world shouldn't cost the earth. That's why CIO strategy councils members have created the Sustainable IT Pledge, the first pledge of its kind in North America. It aims to reduce rapidly growing emissions, you mean like carbon, which we all are carbon-based life forms, from digital technologies, and has been signed by some of the biggest companies in Canada. Okay. So now I'm going to describe what the Internet of Things here is. It refers to the network of everyday web-enabled objects that can connect and exchange information. So in terms of these electronic devices that connect and exchange information, people think about a computer, a TV, or a smartphone, but it actually would include also other items like fitness trackers and thermostats and that sort of a thing. However, these companies and whatnot actually more or less an appropriate description rather than saying Internet of Things is actually Internet of Us. And the reason why I use such a perverted term like that is because looking at Fidelity over here, it says that they've launched a new thematic equity ETF in Canada, providing exposure to companies that are developing and enabling the metaverse. So what is the metaverse? I'm sure everybody knows, but I'll just read this for the hell of it. Is a term used to describe the concept of a future iteration of the internet made up of persistent shared 3D virtual spaces linked into a perceived virtual universe. So the metaverse is expected to be richly integrated into the physical world, thereby creating a new medium and economy for work, leisure, and innovation while transforming long-standing industries and markets such as finance, banking, retail, education, health, fitness, among many others. So anyway, what I'm getting at here is that they're trying to mirror the physical world through that of the virtual one, and that's where meta, or the metaverse, comes as a creation. And imagine implementing our daily internet use with things that we have for like our bank account and things like that, actually put into meta. They want to streamline using virtual reality as part of the norm, and they want to implement it into our day-to-day lives. And as if these systems are not already corrupt, as I was talking about that of the personal fiction being created through that of Pope Innocent IV some time ago, is that these systems in and of themselves are not built for us to begin with, and they're only going to build new ones in their place that are more and more perverted and gradually steal more and more of not only our freedom but our soul. These people understand these kinds of Gnostic concepts, and whether you want to actually absorb them into your ideology or not is entirely up to you. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to educate you on those things, and very much these are the kinds of ideologies that they use and exploit. So for instance here, right, we could see that a certain picture of Sophia, which I'm going to scroll down and show here, it looks very much like the Virgin Mary. We also see sort of halos around her head, and those who watched my the video about All Roads Lead to Rome that I've made, is I was talking about sun worship being a central theme, and how that's actually depicted through halos or sun rings, which comes through Akhenaten, the Egyptian pharaoh. But anyway, here Christos, or Iesa Christos, through Irish Druidic lore, we can see that that is, I guess, their sort of Christ-like figure, and they use the sun to refer to that, and we see the sun projecting from Sophia's head here. So we can see that there's very much egregoric concepts and things are exploited and shown throughout different cultures, hence the word cult being a part of that word throughout the world. And essentially these people are just using different concepts against us and mirroring, mimic, reverting, and perverting. Hence that's what AI is used to do, and AI in and of itself to me is thought of like an entity, and to you it doesn't matter so much what it is thought of. It's just more or less the idea that these things are going to be exploited, and these people do very much subscribe to the ideology of having a multidimensional mind. So anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.